Hello guys, it's Nick और मेरे चैनल पर आपका स्वागत है in another video। आज का वीडियो में lessons learned 2025 में के बारे में बात करूँगी। तो हाँ, मुझे end of year reflection बहुत पसंद है और I really like discussing these things. I really love at the end of each year to do different rituals and things to kind of mark the end of the year. हाँ, लेकिन हर साल जनवरी में जनवरी नहीं, like शायद December 31st New Year's Eve पर आमतौर पर मैं एक फायर रिचुअल करती हूँ हर साल और नहीं पता क्यों I just started doing this one year and I now do it every year. ये साल क्योंकि क्रिसमस और न्यू ईयर्स के लिए हम श्रीलंका में होंगे तो we won't be home for Christmas or New Year's this year. तो इसलिए मैं एक मिनी क्रिसमस वीडियो में ये फायर ट्रेडिशन दिख सकती हूँ तो मिनी क्रिसमस और न्यू ईयर्स वीडियो के साथ। तो दिस ईयर आई विल स्टिल गेट टू डू इट बट आई विल जस्ट कंबाइन इट विथ माई क्रिसमस वीडियो क्योंकि हाँ वी वोंट बी हियर। लेकिन आज December 15th है और हाँ इट्स ऑलमोस्ट January 1st इट्स ऑलमोस्ट 2026। हर साल बहुत तेज हो रहे हैं लेकिन ये साल बहुत अमेजिंग था ऑनेस्टली, सबसे अच्छे साल इन अ लॉन्ग टाइम आई फील। बिल्कुल पिछले साल सेम मैं बात कर रही थी लेकिन हाँ शायद हर साल better or better। तो grab a chai, grab a coffee, let's get into it। तो पहली बात, मैंने ये साल बहुत सारे lessons सीखे और actually a lot of these मैंने उत्सव से सीखा क्योंकि हम दोनों अलग पर्सनालिटीज़, अलग ट्रेट्स मतलब। तो उत्सव बहुत रिलैक्स्ड आदमी है और बहुत laid back, हाँ laid back is probably the word, laid back और relaxed। और उत्सव कभी स्ट्रेस नहीं लेता हाँ तो मुझे लगता है कि I learned to be more easygoing and go with the flow क्योंकि आमतौर पर मैं एक टाइप A इंसान हूँ तो मेरे लिए मुझे प्लानिंग बनाना पसंद है, लिस्ट्स और टाइमिंग के साथ। मैं बहुत पंक्चुअल हूँ, मैं बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट हूँ टाइमिंग के बारे में। और अगर चीज़ें यू नो टू प्लान नहीं होते हैं तो फिर आमतौर पर मैं काफ़ी stressed हूँ, you know, if things don't go to plan or things change or schedule changing और वगैरह। लेकिन हाँ तो I think ये साल मैंने realize किया actually ये important नहीं है and to be more go with the flow, more easygoing। और हाँ generally still I prefer to plan लेकिन हाँ I definitely have taken a lot from Utsav that I don't need to stress as much about things, you know। कभी जब मेरे पास सब कंट्रोल नहीं है तो फिर पैनिक शुरू करती हूँ। तो मतलब ओवर प्लानिंग not always necessary ना, और कभी मैं unnecessary stress लेती हूँ। और ये शायद recent thing क्योंकि you know for example शादी के साथ you know मेरे पास बहुत कंट्रोल नहीं है क्योंकि नेचुरली इंडियन शादी है ना, तो मुझे नहीं पता लाइक सब कुछ के बारे में और हाउ थिंग्स गो और सब डिटेल्स के बारे में। तो हाँ शायद इंडिया इज टीचिंग मी टू बी दैट वे बट हाँ also WhatsApp and I think that is just something I've really learned this year। I don't need to be in charge of everything and it's a good thing as well because I don't want to be in charge of everything either, so it's nice but it can be hard to like remember that because I just am kind of built that way to naturally like take charge I suppose, but I don't want to do that and it's nice when you have someone that can do that for you and yeah I feel like I'm really leaning into that this year। तो दूसरी बात कि मैंने सीखी ट्रस्टिंग टाइमिंग। मेरी ज़िंदगी में कुछ लोगों ने कहा तुम हमेशा रश हो रही है लाइक, और हाँ मुझे लगता है आमतौर पर मैं काफ़ी decisive हूँ you know about what I want to do। तो इसलिए मुझे पता है दूसरे लोगों के लिए मैं शायद impatient हूँ, the kind of person that just I do I want to do something and I go do it, or I think of something and I just go and do it, and whatever it is I want to do, I do. मेरे लिए ये बहुत अच्छा trait है. I love this about myself because I would hate to be the opposite of that. That would be terrifying for me, to be someone that doesn't go for the things they want. लेकिन मुझे पता है ये trait means that I tend to like things to be instant, and I like instant results or instant things. You know, if I want to do something or I want something, I like it for it to be fairly quick, especially once I've decided on them, you know. So obviously me and Utsab were long distance for a few years, and for me it was always very difficult. I always found long distance really difficult, and this is a perfect example of this year how I struggled with trusting the timing and being patient, because it's a very strange thing when you are with someone, you're in a relationship with someone, but you can't be with them and you only can talk to them over phone, video call, and it's a very different type of relationship. Like, it's a relationship, but it's a different version of a relationship, and I think unless you've been in like a long distance relationship before, it's like difficult to see why it would be such a big deal, because on paper it sounds like, okay, like, yeah, you don't get to be together, which sucks, but like, you know, it will end and, you know, it's not permanent. But still मेरे लिए long distance बहुत मुश्किल था, and this year has taught me just to trust that even when things don't feel good or okay, in time they will. Kind of just that idea that like time will heal everything, and you know, I very much always believe in that and have seen that for my own life as well. But I feel like this year in particular, it's almost like because it got closer to us closing the distance, I became more impatient about it almost, I would say. And just the saying of like, you know, good things happen to those who wait. And I'm so glad for that part of relationship that we got to do that. We got to build really good communication when you don't have the ability to have any other type of relationship except just literally talking. I felt like it set a really good foundation for how we are together and how we discuss things and speak about things, which has been really good. It's only now that we've ended the distance that I can appreciate those things. Yeah, I just feel like this year has been such a high because of that, the distance has finally ended. And I think looking back on my experience in long distance relationship, it's definitely taught me a lot of patience. I plan to do a whole separate video about long distance because I think it's a topic I could talk so much about and my experience of it. I know that so many other people all over the world are in such relationships, so I would love to make a video about it and discuss my experience with it. Because I feel like my own, I don't know, maybe trauma or the way I am as a person, long distance really triggered different parts of myself that I never thought would ever happen, or, you know, it was very like shocking, I feel. So I would love to discuss that more. But yeah, in general, this year has definitely taught me patience, and just it's okay to not have everything instantly, and that not everything does have to be instantaneous, and thus just trusting the timing of things, that things will happen like when they are meant to happen and when it's right. और क्या मुझे लगता है इस साल मैं खुद को ज़्यादा accept करती हूँ. मतलब I feel like this year I've come into myself much more. मतलब I feel like I have more self-love, and शायद ये बस age say you know हो रहा है. Maybe this is just because of age. अब मैं 29, and this is something I've always heard other people, like I have other, you know, most of my friends are in their 30s, and one friend in particular, like, she told me that when you turn 30 and around that age and just before, just after, it's like it's kind of like you just wake up feeling different. I don't know, maybe it's not everyone's experience, but I was just thinking about this year how I feel much more confident about myself and like self-assured, I feel like is the word. बचपन से मेरे पास नहीं मेरा आत्म सम्मान कम है. मतलब I have had low self-esteem. Or I feel like it's still a journey. I don't think like I am suddenly just some super esteemed person. हर किसी insecurities होती है ना, तो ये बहुत normal है. Or I don't think ever in your life you will not have some insecurity. It can be some like very small one, but I think it's always going to be there. I just feel much more confident in who I am, and I feel like as well YouTube has really helped me on that journey also, in a weird way, because on YouTube I express myself and express thoughts or feelings, good or bad, and you know that people will judge you, but I'm still able to do it anyway. And like the fear of like what people might think has never stopped me, to be fair, in anything I've done, even when I was younger. But I do feel like YouTube has given me more confidence to just embrace who I am wholeheartedly, and I'm much more okay now recently with being either misunderstood or things to be taken in a different way. It's kind of like I feel more okay with that because I'm more okay with who I am. Obviously, like 90% of people are online, at least what I experience, are so nice and so kind. I feel like YouTube's really helped grow my confidence as well. Just embracing the don't give a fuck era of life, you know? The acceptance of like, not everyone's gonna like you, not everyone's gonna understand you, or what you do or what you choose to do, or your choices in life, or anything. It can be anything, but I really feel like this year, the most myself probably I have in like a long time. So yeah, I feel like that's been a really good lesson I've learned. I didn't try and learn, it's just kind of, I was just reflecting and I was thinking about it, that I do feel that way. And I think when you make choices that make your life better or make you happier, then you become confident in yourself and your decisions, and it brings you more confidence about who you are as a person, and to, you know, trust in yourself and everything. And I feel like that's what this year has like signified for me. I'm so happy with the choices I've made to where I am right now. I love myself for that, you know? तो इस साल की changes क्या थे? 2025 में दो चीज़ों जिसमें बहुत बदल हो रहे थे, मतलब I should have just done this in English. I will probably do most of the rest of it in English. There are two chapters of this year which really stand out to me. There's the part where I was in Ireland and I had moved to my family home, and in June when I came to India. And this is how I view this year of 2025, is like there was January to June where I was in my family home in my home country, and June to now where I've moved to India. I've learned so much in each chapter. I feel like moving to my home in Ireland was definitely different because शायद 10 सालों से मैं डबलिन में रहती थी, तो डबलिन आयरलैंड की कैपिटल है, और एक्चुअली मैं एक गांव से हूँ साउथ ईस्ट of Ireland. तो और शायद since I was like 18 I had never lived at my family home again. Yeah, that was definitely like an adjustment, you know, because I moved away from what was familiar for my last 10 years of my life, you know. मुझे डबलिन ज़्यादा नहीं पसंद है, like it was good because it's a city and whatever, but I didn't have this like love for Dublin or anything. I didn't feel sad in leaving the place, but it was difficult because in my hometown I had like much less social life. But then a positive was I was really close by to my family, and like I was living with family and everything, so there was definitely like a lot of pros from it as well. I'm so glad that I did it, but it was definitely a change and an adjustment. And I remember being in that time from January to June and feeling just a bit blah, like, because I felt I wasn't progressing. Bas mein kam kar rahi thi. I was just working and I wasn't making much videos even for YouTube, and I was not feeling like very motivated. Like during that time, I can't even think of like what else I really did in that time. Actually, I did get my driving license, but we'll get to that. But I remember feeling stagnant during that time. Like I was just waiting so that I could come to India, be with Utsav, start this life here that I knew was coming, and I felt like I was just waiting, and it felt like a waste of time at the time. लेकिन अभी मैं reflect कर रही हूँ और मैं देख सकती हूँ कि हाँ, like ये time seemed like no progress. लेकिन in the times of no progress is actually progress. I got to completely reset. I got to save money that I was spending on rent. I got to spend time with like my family, my nieces. I also got to make a new friend and connection in my hometown as well. And yeah, it's just funny how you can in the moment feel like you're just merely existing, but then when you actually reflect on it from a different point of view, it had its own benefits, you know. And progress doesn't always have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to look like running around 24 hours a day and doing this and achieving this. Sometimes it's just slow and quiet and still meaningful. So yeah, those are like the two big definitive times of this year, was moving there and now moving to India. And since moving to India now properly, because now the distance finally is closed between us. We're getting married next year, and everything's just all come to an end in terms of the distance, and it's been amazing. I just feel so grateful that we get to be together now, and that I get to be here in India, and everything's just aligned, you know, finally, after a long time of waiting and difficult times, and it's just all been worth it, you know. So let's talk about some of the lows of this year. The long distance was obviously one which I spoke already about, and like I said, we'll do a separate video on. Another low of this year has just been, I suppose, anxiety about things like paperwork, logistics, visas. I feel like those more recently have been happening, and even before I came to India, there was obviously many paperwork and stuff I had to prepare as well, so that like I wouldn't have to go back to Ireland to get documents and stuff for our marriage and everything like that. But even more so now with just like the wedding and a lot of things to think about, a lot of things you have to, I suppose, just like admin things you have to do. I don't know how to explain it, but a low would be just being anxious about all of that and hoping it all comes together, and it will. When you're in that mode of having to worry about all that stuff like visas and documents, it definitely can be like overwhelming. So I feel like that's been one kind of a low. No, I wouldn't even say low, but an anxiety and an anxiety for sure. The other big low as of recent, I would say for me, has been my body adjusting to India. It's kind of weird that it's only happening now, because, you know, I've been to India now so many times and I've never really had this issue, except the time I got food poisoning. That was a whole nother thing. Only now I'm experiencing different things which are highlighting that, yeah, my body isn't used to some things here. I spoke a lot about it in my weekly vlogs of like different things that I've had, or my skin getting worse even though I'm eating super healthy here in India. And last week I got a cold, and it's like the worst cold I've ever had. You know, the realization that viruses and bacteria are going to affect me and my body differently here, and that will take some time to like acclimatize, get used to, let's say. So I would say in the latter half of this year, that's been a bit of a low for me, is just dealing with those things that kind of have been happening like one after the other. But yeah, I do know that it will just be temporary, and over time my body will get used to such things, and they will no longer feel as big or as difficult to deal with, I guess. It hasn't even been that big of a problem, but it's definitely noticeable. I've definitely noticed, like, first I had this, and then I had this, and then I had this. That's been something to like adjust to for sure. So the highs of this year, definitely getting engaged. That was the absolute highlight of the year. But also ending the distance was the highlight of the year. So both of those, let's say, were the two main highs of the year. Finally be together, finally start our lives together properly without keep having to come and go and be apart. And the other big high of this year, which I still cannot believe, I got my driver's license. At the time, I was doing videos about it back earlier this year when I was in Ireland, so I won't go on about it too much. But I have been trying to learn to drive for like years on and off, and I never got to a place of confidence with driving that I felt I could get my license and pass the test. I finally was able to do that this year. Was it in May? It was literally just before I came to India. Anyway, it was such perfect timing as well, because I would have otherwise came to India, moved here, and yeah, I'm sure I would have learned to drive here at some point as well. But just having my license already is just, it cannot get any better than that, honestly, for me. I just had such a mental block against driving. I don't even know where it's come from, why, but it's been there and it's been real. That was another huge benefit of getting to be in Ireland, and at my home I got to, my family, my sister and her husband like kindly let me borrow their car, so I was able to practice and get to that point, whereas I was never able to do it in Dublin. Yeah, it's just, when I reflect on this year, it's just been, everything just came together so perfectly that it's just like, I'm really grateful for this year. It's been an amazing year. And yeah, I feel like those are the main things of the year that stand out the most to me. But yeah, I'm just leaving 2025 feeling very grateful, very happy. Yeah, I just feel like all of these things I've dreamed of are happening and coming true right now and coming in the next couple of years. And yeah, I honestly just feel like lately every year is getting better and better. But yeah, I would love to hear for you guys, what has been the highs and lows of your year. And do you like to reflect and create like New Year's resolutions, New Year's goals? I know not everyone is into such things, and a lot of people find it like, oh. So every year I make a little list of goals for that year. I've been doing it since 2021, and I still have on my computer the ones from 2021. I'm just going to reflect on the 2025 goals and tell you my 2026 goals. So 2025, I had a financial goal, which I'm not going to say what it was exactly, but I had a goal to save a certain amount of money in the start of 2025 when I was working. So from January to June, before I came to India, I had a financial goal, which I reached. So that was amazing, and I was delighted with that. The other goal was to get my driving license, which I did. So that was the highlight. Another goal was to become a more advanced Hindi speaker, which I would say I've achieved, because even when I look back to, well, I haven't looked back, but when I think back to me speaking Hindi, like when I was in Ireland, like last winter, I remember some of the videos I did because I usually just did them while I went for a walk and stuff. And I remember struggling to like make sentences and like good sentences or full sentences. So I definitely feel like I have improved my Hindi a lot this year. So I'm going to say that I did achieve that. You can beg to differ, I don't know. Another goal was to post one video per week on YouTube, minimum one video per week. I feel like I did not achieve this 100% because during that time when I was working from January to June, I definitely was not posting every week, but I've been posting like 3 times a week for the last while. Definitely been posting once a week since I came to India, so maybe I've made up for that. But anyway, I'm really happy with like what I've done on YouTube this year, so I feel like I have achieved that. And the last goal of 2025 was to get 13 minutes exercise daily, which I definitely did not do. It's okay. I feel like that's always something that will like ebb and flow for me. And my goals for 2026, my goal is to reach a confident B2 Hindi level. I kind of figured out by different things that I'm around a B1 level at the moment. So yeah, my goal would be to reach B2 level, which I think is very manageable. You know, in a year's time, I think I could definitely be at that. So the next goal is to clear my acne. So I'm already, as you've probably seen from my videos, on that journey. I'm taking isotretinoin, whatever the medication is. I have this whole skin routine that I am doing with the creams and gels that I've been given by my dermatologist. My goal is by the end of 2026, I will be a clear skin girly. Actually, my doctor said after 3 months I will have clear skin, but I'm not really sure if to believe that or not yet. Anyway, that's my goal for 2026. My next goal for 2026 is just to grow my YouTube channel more. I already have an amazing 6,500 subscribers at the moment, which has been amazing. I love my little community I have at the moment. I would also love to keep growing and just keep doing different kinds of content and reach more people as well that like watching such things. I actually made a good few goals for this next year. Another one is to get a cat. I honestly would have got a cat by now if it wasn't for the fact that we still have different traveling coming up, Sri Lanka, the wedding, then like a honeymoon and stuff. So I feel like there's still a lot of traveling we're going to be doing in the coming months. But after the wedding, I definitely want to get a cat. I feel I love animals. I've always had cats growing up and dogs, but I do want to get a dog in the future too, but I don't really want to have one in an apartment. I love how independent cats are. They kind of come and go. You know, they don't require like constant attention. Yeah, really want to adopt a lovely kitty at some point in 2026. And the next goal is to talk to more people in Hindi outside. I feel like at the moment I can be quite nervous to speak Hindi outside. Obviously I do with autowalas, and whenever I need to, I definitely do. But I don't strike up conversations with people in Hindi or at all, even in English. Like, I'm not really that kind of person, but I know how good it would be for my Hindi learning if I did start doing that. And you never know, like, you can forge new connections and you just never know what can come of doing that. So I feel like I want to push myself to do that more. And like, look, maybe I'm just not that person to do it. Maybe I'll learn that in 2026, but I think trying at least would be good. And the very last goal for 2026 is just to make more connections, more friends in India. I've written down to make like 1 or 2 good friends in India next year. So just like prioritizing friendships, prioritizing trying to meet people, trying to make friends, being more proactive about arranging things with people. That is my last goal of 2026. So they're all very achievable, I feel. I don't feel like any of them are like crazy ones. When I go back to 2021, I had like some unrealistic ones. So every year my list gets a little bit shorter of like what my actual goals are, but those are my ones for 2026. So yeah, that is it for me reflecting on 2025. What an amazing year it's been, and I cannot wait to start 2026. So much to look forward to and excitement. Getting married, our wedding, getting a cat. Utsav doesn't know yet, but he will. And yeah, do tell me in the comments, guys, what are your highs and lows of this year or your goals for 2026. Let me know in the comments if you would like to share them. I love reading such things. And yeah, so thank you so much for watching, guys. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe, or else you'll have bad karma, okay? Yeah. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.